Think Italy is just about pasta, pizza, and romantic gondola rides? You won't believe what's really happening behind those ancient walls. Wait until you find out about the country where dog poop gets DNA tested and you can be fined $500 for the wrong outfit. Here's what they don't want tourists to know about the real Italy. Number 15. Italy has a country within a country that prints its own euros but pays no taxes. You heard right. Vatican City isn't just a tourist attraction, it's actually a completely separate nation with its own postal system, railway station, and even issues its own euros. But here's the kicker, employees of the Vatican pay no income tax and no customs duty on gasoline or goods that they buy in the Vatican. Picture this, you could literally walk 100 meters from a Roman street where Italians pay up to 43% income tax, cross an invisible border, and suddenly be in a tax-free country smaller than a shopping mall. The 800 residents get free housing, free healthcare, and tax-free shopping while the Pope technically outranks the Italian Prime Minister on Italian soil. Think your neighborhood association has power? The Vatican has its own court system, police force, and can even issue arrest warrants. It's like having a billionaire's tax haven that just happens to house the world's most famous art collection. Number 14. In Naples and Capri, your dog's poop gets DNA tested and you'll face a €500 fine if you don't clean it up. Sounds unbelievable, but according to the New York Times, the samples are then matched to a DNA database, and the owners who don't clean up after their dogs are fined €500. Picture walking your dog through the ancient cobblestone streets of Naples, thinking you can get away with leaving a little gift behind like tourists do everywhere else. Wrong. Italian authorities collect that sample, run it through a CSI-style DNA database, track down your address, and slap you with a fine equivalent to $540. They've turned dog walking into a forensic science experiment. The scary part? They're so serious about this that they maintain an actual database of dog DNA profiles like some kind of canine criminal registry. Local residents now carry little baggies and wet wipes like they're handling evidence at a crime scene. Forget about Italian bureaucracy being slow. When it comes to dog waste, they're faster than American crime labs. Number 13. You can be arrested for wearing the wrong clothes in Vatican City, and the dress code police will literally turn you away at the door. Visitors are not permitted to wear sleeveless, low-cut garments, shorts that end above the knee, miniskirts and hats. But it gets more extreme than you think. Swiss guards, those colorful uniformed men tourists, love to photograph actually function as fashion police, who will examine your outfit head to toe. They've turned away heads of state, celebrities and millionaires for showing too much shoulder or wearing shorts that hit 2 inches above the knee instead of 3 inches below. There's literally a measuring stick involved. Women get handed paper shawls that look like medical gowns, while men in shorts are sent to buy pants from overpriced Vatican gift shops. The weirdest part? Those with any visible personal objects or personal signs such as jewelry or tattoos that may offend Catholic morality can also be refused entry. One American tourist spent $3,000 on a Vatican tour, only to be turned away for a small cross tattoo on her wrist that the guard deemed inappropriate religious imagery. Talk about irony. Number 12. Tour groups are now limited to exactly 25 people. Maximum, and tour guides can't use loudspeakers. Break these rules and face massive fines. Here's a law that went into effect just months ago. Recent legislation limits tour groups to 25 people maximum. The law also bans loudspeakers often used by tour guides. Use of an audio guide is mandatory for groups greater than 10 people. This means those classic big tour groups with 40 to 50 people following a guide with a megaphone, completely illegal now. Italian authorities will actually count heads and confiscate loudspeakers on the spot. The fine starts at €400 and goes up to €1,000 for repeat offenders. Tour companies are scrambling to split large groups and invest in expensive audio equipment systems. Picture this. You're walking through the Roman Forum and suddenly police officers start counting your tour group like bouncers at an exclusive nightclub. If you're number 26, you're out. The local tour industry estimates this will cost them millions in lost revenue, but the government says it's about preserving cultural dignity. Tourists now need to book smaller, more expensive tours or risk being part of an illegal assembly. Number 11. Italy contains a beach where you can be fined €3,000 for taking sand, shells or stones, and they have actual sand police patrolling with metal detectors. Collecting sand, colorful shells or polished quartz stones in Sardinia, Italy is completely prohibited and strictly enforced. But the enforcement is what's truly shocking. Sardinian beaches employ specialized guards called beach wardens who patrol the shoreline with metal detectors and X-ray machines at departure points. They literally scan tourists' luggage and confiscate jars of sand, bags of shells, and decorative rocks. The fine isn't just steep, it's devastating. A British family of 4 was hit with a €12,000 fine, that's $13,000, for taking home 4 small bottles of multicolored sand as souvenirs. Airport security treats sand theft like drug trafficking, with special containers for confiscated beach materials. The irony? These beaches have been naturally replenishing themselves for millions of years, but Italian authorities claim tourist sand collection is destroying the ecosystem. Local shops sell legal sand in tiny sealed containers for €15 each, the same sand that costs you €3,000 if you collect it yourself. Number 10. In Rome, you can live rent-free in historical buildings worth millions, but only if you agree to never renovate, never leave, and never complain about the lack of modern amenities. This is Italy's most bizarre housing program, rent-controlled apartments in ancient palazzos where monthly rent ranges from €50 to €200 for spaces that would cost €3,000 on the open market. But here's the catch. Tenants sign contracts forbidding any modernization. We're talking about families living in 15th century apartments with original stone walls, no central heating, electrical systems from the 1940s, and plumbing that requires a PhD in medieval engineering to operate. The buildings are protected cultural monuments, so installing air conditioning, updating wiring, or even painting walls requires government permits that take 2 to 3 years to process. One American journalist documented living in a Rome apartment where she had to climb 84 stone steps daily, had no hot water for 6 months while waiting for permits, and shared the building with actual Roman ruins in the basement. The waiting list for these apartments is 15 to 20 years long, with families passing down leases like inheritances. Tenants joke that they're paid curators of Italian history who happen to sleep in museum pieces. Number 9. Italy has towns where speaking Italian is actually illegal, and you'll be fined for not using the local Germanic dialect. In South Tyrol, near the Austrian border, German is the mandatory language for all official business, and local laws require government employees to speak German or face termination. Here's the bizarre part. These are Italian citizens in Italian towns where Italian is treated as a foreign language. Street signs are exclusively in German, court proceedings are conducted in German, and schools teach in German first, Italian second. But it gets weirder. In some valleys they speak Ladin, an ancient Romance language that sounds like a mix of Italian, German, and Latin. There are exactly 31,000 native Latin speakers in the world, all living in these Italian mountain valleys, and local laws protect their linguistic rights more aggressively than endangered species. Restaurants will literally refuse to provide Italian menus, and local businesses won't serve customers who can't communicate in the regional language. An Italian from Naples visiting these towns needs a translator in his own country. The government spends millions on multilingual education and translation services to preserve languages that have fewer speakers than a small American suburb has residents. Number 8. There's an Italian island where residents live to be 100+ years old at 10 times the global rate, but they survive on a diet that would horrify modern nutritionists. Sardinia contains a blue zone where people routinely live past 100, but their secret diet includes daily wine consumption, bread made from barley instead of wheat, and cheese from grass-fed goats that graze on wild herbs. The statistics are mind-blowing. Sardinian men live to 100 at a rate 10 times higher than Americans, despite eating lard, drinking wine with every meal, and consuming almost no vegetables that aren't pickled or fermented. Their traditional breakfast is bread soaked in goat milk with a shot of grappa, which is 40% alcohol. Lunch includes pecorino cheese aged in underground caves for more than 2 years, and dinner features wild boar or lamb cooked in herbs that would cost $50 per pound in American health food stores. The centenarians smoke handmade cigarettes from local tobacco, work physical jobs until age 90, and treat stress like a foreign concept. Scientists studying the phenomenon discovered that their genetics, combined with a lifestyle that ignores every modern health recommendation, produces longevity that pharmaceutical companies spend billions trying to replicate. The island's 100-year-olds are healthier than most 70-year-old Americans, and they've never heard of a gym membership. Number 7. Italy's trains are so punctual that being 5 minutes late is considered a major delay, but this is the same country where buses show up whenever they feel like it, if at all. This is Italy's most confusing contradiction. Trenitalia high-speed trains arrive within 90 seconds of their scheduled time 96% of the time, making them more reliable than Swiss trains. The AVE trains between Rome and Milan average 1.2 minutes of delay time, better than Japanese bullet trains. But step off that train and wait for a city bus, and you've entered a parallel universe where schedules are suggestions, and 5 minutes means anywhere from 15 minutes to never. Roman bus drivers treat timetables like abstract art, showing up 30 minutes late or not at all, with no explanation or apology. The contrast is so extreme that Italians plan train connections down to the minute, but add 2 hours of buffer time for any bus journey. A Milan businessman can catch a 7:23 a.m. train to Rome that arrives at exactly 10:33 a.m., then wait 45 minutes for a city bus scheduled to depart at 11 a.m. Local joke: Italian trains run on atomic clocks, Italian buses run on Mediterranean time, and nobody knows why the same country operates both systems. Number 6. In Florence you can be fined €500 for eating food on church steps, but the same steps have been used as dining areas for over 600 years. The irony is stunning. Tourists get ticketed for eating paninis on the steps of Santa Croce, the same steps where Renaissance artists, merchants, and nobles gathered for meals throughout the 15th and 16th centuries. Florence's decorum police issue 50 to 150 fines daily to tourists eating takeout food in historic areas, turning lunch into a potential criminal activity. The enforcement is so aggressive that police officers hide behind corners with cameras, waiting to catch tourists mid-bite. A German family was fined €2,000 total for eating gelato while sitting on church steps. That's $2,200 for ice cream consumption. But here's the twisted part. The same churches operate food festivals, outdoor markets, and wine events on those exact steps throughout the year. Local residents can eat there during sanctioned events, but tourists face fines for the same behavior. The city justifies this as protecting cultural heritage, while simultaneously selling 500,000 tourist permits annually for guided food tours that end at those same historic steps. It's like charging people for breathing air while selling oxygen tanks next door. Number 5. Italy has a secret city underneath Naples that's larger than the city above ground, complete with ancient Roman theaters, Greek temples, and World War II bomb shelters. Napoli Sotterranea is a 2,400-year-old underground metropolis spanning 96 miles of tunnels, chambers, and ancient structures that most tourists never see. But here's the crazy part. Over 4 million people live directly above this subterranean world without knowing it exists beneath their apartments, shops, and schools. The underground city includes a Roman aqueduct system still supplying water to modern buildings, Greek quarries that provided stone for surface construction, early Christian burial catacombs with thousands of ancient skeletons, and World War II air raid shelters where 200,000 Neapolitans survived Allied bombing raids. Tour guides lead visitors through chambers where they literally crawl through 2,000-year-old Greek tunnels on hands and knees, past Roman amphitheaters that seat 6,000 people, and through medieval wine cellars still storing bottles from the 1800s. The strangest discovery? Entire Renaissance-era buildings that were buried when the city expanded upward instead of outward, preserving perfect frescoes, furniture, and household items like a time capsule. Some surface residents have basements that connect directly to Greek temples from 300 BC, while others discover Roman roads running beneath their modern kitchens during renovations. So, the Italian government pays citizens up to €20,000 to move to specific towns, but there's a catch. You gotta start a business, renovate a house, and well, commit to staying for over 10 years. Towns across southern Italy and Sicily offer cash incentives ranging from €700 to €20,000 for new residents, but the requirements are actually a lot more demanding than most international immigration programs. For example, the town of Candela pays €2,000 for individuals and €8,000 for families, but recipients must demonstrate Italian language proficiency, present a detailed business plan, and put €25,000 in escrow as a good faith deposit that's forfeited if they leave within 3 years. Over in Sambuca, Sicily, they sell abandoned houses for €1 each, but buyers have to invest at least €15,000 in renovations within 18 months and pay a €5,000 deposit that's lost if renovation deadlines aren't met. The fine print is honestly brutal. Residents must maintain permanent tax residency, operate a business that employs at least one local person, and participate in community cultural events. One American couple, for instance, discovered their €1 house required €47,000 in mandatory structural repairs, plus €12,000 in permits and legal fees. After 2 years, their total investment reached €89,000 for a 2-bedroom house they could have purchased outright in the same town for just €35,000. So the towns aren't just selling houses, they're basically franchising small business operations with Italian bureaucracy as the franchise fee. Italy has more UNESCO World Heritage sites than any other country, but it also has this secret black market where stolen artifacts are actually sold back to the museums they were stolen from. Italy contains 58 UNESCO World Heritage sites, more than China, Spain or France, but operates a parallel shadow economy where archaeological treasures are stolen, sold internationally, and then recovered through official channels at premium prices. The Carabinieri Art Squad, which is Italy's specialized cultural crime police, maintains a database of over 6 million stolen artworks and conducts about 23,000 investigations every year. But here's the shocking reality. Many recovered artifacts are actually purchased back from the same criminal networks that stole them, using international intermediaries and legal loopholes that make theft profitable for all parties involved. A Roman marble statue stolen from Pompeii in 1987 was recovered by Italian authorities in 2019 after being sold through 5 different countries, with the final recovery payment exceeding the statue's insurance value by 300%. Museums quietly budget for these recovery fees as operational expenses, basically paying ransoms for their own collections. The Vatican museums alone spend between €2 and €4 million every year on artifact recovery operations that locals call organized repatriation. Private collectors, auction houses, and even government agencies participate in this system where cultural theft becomes a circular economy with official government participation. In Italy, you can legally break into someone's house and claim ownership if you live there for 20 years without the owner's permission, and yeah, the courts will actually side with you. Italian squatters' rights laws are so extreme that they basically legalize home invasion as long as you're patient enough. Under usucapione laws, anyone who occupies abandoned property continuously for 20 years gains legal ownership, even if they broke in initially and the original owner never gave permission. But here's the insane part, the squatter doesn't just get to stay. They get full legal title to the property, can sell it, mortgage it, and even evict the original owner if they try to return. A British expat found this out the hard way when he returned to his inherited Tuscan farmhouse after 25 years, only to find a local family living there who legally owned the property despite his family holding the original deed for over 200 years. The courts ruled that 20-plus years of continuous occupation with improvements trumped legal ownership. The family had installed electricity, plumbing, and maintained the vineyard, which qualified as beneficial use under Italian law. Some of the most shocking cases involve entire apartment buildings in Rome, where organized squatter networks systematically occupy units, maintain them just enough, and transfer legal ownership after the waiting period expires. Property lawyers estimate 15,000 to 20,000 properties every year change hands through this legal squatting process, with some squatter families actually earning 6-figure incomes by professionally occupying and claiming abandoned properties throughout Italy. Number 1. Italy is technically still at war with Japan from World War II because they never signed a peace treaty, making it the longest ongoing war between 2 developed nations in modern history. This is honestly the most mind-blowing fact about Italy that almost nobody knows. Italy and Japan have been technically at war for over 80 years because both countries overlooked signing an official peace treaty after World War II ended, while Germany, the United States, Britain, and other Allied powers formalized peace agreements with Japan. In 1951, Italy was dealing with internal political reconstruction and, well, simply forgot to participate in the San Francisco peace treaty process. The result? Italy and Japan remain in a legal state of war according to international law, despite being close allies, trading partners, and NATO affiliates. This means Italian and Japanese diplomats conducting business are technically enemy combatants negotiating during wartime, making every economic agreement a violation of their own military positions. The absurdity extends to practical implications. Italian tourists visiting Japan are technically visiting enemy territory, and Japanese investments in Italian companies could be classified as wartime collaboration. Both governments acknowledge this bureaucratic oversight but haven't prioritized fixing it because it doesn't affect their actual relationship. Legal scholars even joke that this makes Italy-Japan the friendliest war in history, where enemy nations exchange billions in trade, annually participate in joint military exercises, and maintain embassies in each other's capitals. The war will officially end whenever both parliaments remember to vote on a peace treaty that should have been signed back in 1951. So we've just discovered Italy's most bizarre secrets, from DNA-tested dog poop to the world's friendliest ongoing war. Which one shocked you the most? Have you ever experienced Italy's weird laws firsthand? Subscribe for more mind-blowing facts that will change how you see famous countries forever.